We decided to move Rare Disease Day to the spring, where it'll eventually be a sunny 72. Right off the bat, if we're going to be rare, we're going to do it our way. As a rare disease patient who has Cushing's disease, adrenal insufficiency, who has had a brain surgery, adrenals, part of my lower right lobe of my lung removed, diabetes insipidus for 5 years, a total hysterectomy, a bilateral oophorectomy, just diagnosed with lymphedema, and now I've got mismessaging of my hypothalamus and someone who cannot regulate temperature, I can tell you I'm a huge fan of spring and the Rare Disease Day being in it. As the founder of the Conley-Cushing's Fund and as a member of the Rare Disease Advisory Council, it's truly an honor to be part of this zeal of zebras. Yes, you heard me correctly, I said zebras. I bet all of you healthy people in the crowd today don't get it, but those of us that are rare do. The phrase, when you hear hoofbeats, think of horses, not zebras, is something that is drilled into medical students during their studies, and generally it makes sense. It essentially underscores the importance of understanding and appreciating what they will most likely experience when they begin practicing medicine. It's logical to investigate what they will most commonly see, but when it comes to the rare disease community, physicians need to be really think again and look for horses with stripes. This year, NORD's rallying cry for Rare Disease Day was "Show me your stripes." Well, today in this rotunda and throughout the Capitol, there are a lot of stripes. They are strong, they are unique, they are beautiful, and for the next 40 minutes, we will bring awareness to the estimated 1.2 million Pennsylvanians that are diagnosed with a rare disease. On behalf of our planning committee, we are so thankful for the legislators that are able to be with us today. We recognize that this is a truly hectic day and are grateful for your time and commitment to our cause. We know that you may not be able to stay here for the whole press conference, and in addition to the Rare Disease Caucus co-chairs that you'll hear from in a moment, please help me recognize the following members that are able to be with us. And they're behind us: Representative Donna Oberlander, Representative Megan Schroeder, Senator Andy Dinniman, and Representative Wendy Thomas, and Representative David Zimmerman, and Representative Harry Morgan. Morgan? Thank you. Sorry, hi. Unfortunately, one of our Rare Disease Caucus co-chairs had a personal matter arise and is unable to attend. Senator John Blake sends his best regards and is looking forward to working with us. I would also like to recognize a few of my colleagues that are here from the Rare Disease Advisory Council. Tomas Algler, who is with the council and is our chair and is also a director at Department of Health, and Jen Wesco, who is the executive director of the Wesco Foundation for Pulmonary Fibrosis. The event takes a lot of work from our dedicated volunteers, and I'd like to recognize our planning committee: John Hohenwater from Novartis, Sue Stein from E4 Healthcare Group, Vanita Sharman from Strongbridge Biopharma, Jen Young and Kurt Imhoff from Life Sciences PA, Melissa Giese from Killarney Group, Andy Shea from Uplifting Athletes, Rose, Kristen, and Tim Boyd from NORD, Anna Payne from the Rare Disease Advisory Council, and our next speaker, our PA Rare Ambassador from NORD, Kristen Smedley.
Thank you. Good morning, and thank you all for being here. I love being in this rotunda because although the background noise may drive some people crazy, for me, 19 years ago when I received my first of 2 diagnoses of a very rare blindness for my babies, everything went dark and everything went quiet. So for me, when there's noise and support and rallies for things like rare disease, to me, that's energy. That's That's the second half of the coffee pot that I didn't get to have this morning because of my drive in here. So I appreciate all the energy, and I appreciate what your calendars look like, and the fact that you made time, and that the folks behind me and amongst us here make time to champion rare diseases in this Commonwealth every single day, not just today. For about 40 minutes, and some of you for the remainder of the day are going to hear a lot about the work that's happening, but this happens every single day, 365 days a year in this Commonwealth. The work for rare disease and living with rare disease. So I am so appreciative that you're here today. And look, it's no secret of the part of this state that I live in and the teams in my part of the state that I champion constantly. And I'm looking around and see some friends and colleagues from other communities and other cities in this Commonwealth, and they're like, oh God, I'm gonna have to hear about her home run hitter, who they got on their team, and what quarterback we've got on my team. But for real, this team in this building right now and this team in this Commonwealth is one of the top in our country, moving mountains, literal and figurative mountains, for the 7,000 rare diseases that we're all facing every single day. And I have to tell you, I mean, I'm the Pennsylvania ambassador for NORD, but I'm in the national stuff all the time. And there is no work like the work in Pennsylvania. And at the quarterback position of that, at the manager level, we have somebody here that not only authored the Rare Disease Advisory Council legislation, she championed it and kept going. Yeah, we established the Rare Advisory Council here, but the work that has to be done by that council to move the mountains that I mentioned that we're moving and still have to do is unprecedented. We are so incredibly blessed, and I'm going to move over so you can hear from this incredible mountain mover, MVP, Representative Toepel.
Good morning, everyone. Before we look forward, we must take a moment to appreciate the road that we have traveled. When we first gathered in recognition of National Rare Disease Awareness Day in 2017, we talked about what we wanted to do and how we wanted to make it a better place for Pennsylvania families, but nothing was in place yet. Before the Coyne family visited my office years ago, I was not aware of rare diseases or the effect that they have on Commonwealth residents. I didn't know about the tremendous impact they have, money to pay for test after test until an accurate diagnosis is provided, sometimes taking years. Time that is poured into learning about the disease, time that doesn't have to be spent on more prevalent diseases as doctors share their abundant resources. Time that is then selfishly dedicated to advocating for the entire rare disease community and sharing information they have accumulated to help families who are dealing with the disease that has impacted their own lives. I am ever grateful to the Coyne family of Montgomery County for sharing their experiences with me and motivating me to take an active role in the Commonwealth. Because so many of you championed my bill to create the Rare Disease Advisory Council, it was created 2 years ago and will be providing its first comprehensive report later this year. Recently, the Rare Disease Caucus, which I'm proud to co-chair, participated in a roundtable discussion with Life Sciences Pennsylvania and Harmony Biosciences in Plymouth meeting. We talked about unique ways a new therapy or cure for rare disease is brought to market. We also discussed how patient advocacy groups and companies working in the respective therapeutic areas can work together to drive innovation for rare diseases. I am proud of Pennsylvania's life sciences community and our efforts in Harrisburg to incentivize the innovation that brings breakthrough cures and treatments to patients both in the Commonwealth and around the world. But most importantly, I'm proud to live in the Keystone State with so many strong men, women, and children, many of you in this rotunda today. You don't let the disease get you down, but instead are committed to making not only your lives the best they can be, but also those of others with the same experiences. You are truly an inspiration. Thank you for your courage. It's now my honor to introduce my colleague and friend, as well as a co-sponsor of the legislation that created the council, and my co-chair, Representative Mark Longgetti.
Well, I certainly want to thank Representative Toepel for her leadership, as well as all of you sitting in front of me and all of these folks standing behind me. You know, for most people, making plans and traveling to the Capitol means some preparations, but I have come to understand that for most of you and patients in the rare world, days like these are hard. It's not just waking up, showering, heading out the door. It's about preparation, planning, for some taking extra medication and taking a day or two to recuperate from coming here for a couple hours to advocate for yourselves. On behalf of all my colleagues, thank you. While there are a number of things that I'm proud of for my service as a legislator, one of the proudest days was to be a co-sponsor of the PA Rare Disease Advisory Council, and I want to thank those who serve on that council for your hard work. Facing any medical challenge is difficult, but fighting diseases that are unknown and so isolating is something most of us will never experience. But we can help bring hope, and that is what today and all of our work is about, hope. So it's my pleasure now to introduce my colleague from the Senate, Senator Judy Ward.
Good morning to all of you. Thank you to Representative Longgetti, Representative Toepel, and my colleague in the Senate, Senator Blake, sends his regrets. It is such an honor to be here with you all today. During my nursing career, I witnessed firsthand what challenges and obstacles patients and caregivers experience. According to patient surveys and rare disease organizations, it has been estimated that the length of time from symptom onset to an accurate diagnosis is about 4.8 years for a rare disease. The longer it takes to diagnose a rare disease, the more physicians the patient needs to see, and that average is 7 physicians before a diagnosis is made. Many families affected by rare disease are left with a sense of not knowing where to turn for help. I became very aware of this when one of my constituents, Penny Bruner, reached out to me after her grandson Miles had been diagnosed with a rare pediatric genetic disease, NKH. She began a foundation on his behalf to raise awareness so others could find help. Our hope that increased advocacy and awareness can give patients and their families a sense of hope. Treatments for rare diseases are not a luxury for patients. They make an enormous difference in the health, well-being, and quality of life for the individuals who suffer with these conditions on a daily basis. As co-chairs of the Senate Rare Disease Caucus, Senator John Blake and I are introducing legislation that would ensure patients get the full benefit of all available prescription copay assistance programs, including copay coupons and manufacturers' discounts. We need to make sure that prescription discount programs help patients get the care they desperately need. Not financially benefiting PBMs and insurance companies at the expense of the people that they serve. During a time when the pundits want to look at issues that divide us, I am so proud to look around and see my colleagues from both sides of the aisle and from both sides of the Capitol to join together in support of the common goal to help those patients and Pennsylvanians who suffer from a rare disease. Thank you.
Thank you again for all of your remarks and for your commitment, as well as serving as our co-chairs of the Rare Disease Caucus. Did you know that the pattern of a zebra's stripes are different for each individual zebra, making them as unique as snowflakes? Most rare disease patients feel unique, and in some cases, they truly are. It is often challenging to find others like us. When we do, the way the disease affects us is often different than the way that it affects someone else. We can medically have the same disease, but we experience symptoms differently, react to medications differently, and our scans and our blood work can read very differently. So we are truly unique. That is why when we have days like today, it is so important that all of the zebras with their unique stripes and patterns can come together, so we can create awareness and have the ability to have one voice. Our next speaker is beautifully unique inside and out. I have the pleasure of working with her for over the last year and a half on the Rare Disease Advisory Council. I read an interview in her local paper, Bucks County Courier Times, from a few years ago, and I thought their words so beautifully captured this introduction, so there was no need for me to rewrite one. Numbers are very important to Anna Payne. When she was born, that number was 10. When she was a teen, that number was 25. And now at 29, the number is 41. The number signifies the expected age of death for Payne, who has cystic fibrosis. But that number, which has changed due to medical breakthroughs, has never discouraged her from living life fully. In fact, it's been a motivator. Cystic fibrosis is a curse, but also a blessing, she said. I know that I may not be around forever, but because it isn't as long as other people, that's what drives me to make sure I leave my footprint here while I'm still healthy enough. Please help me welcome my colleague and a real inspiration, Anna Payne.
All right. So first, thank you to Marie for that wonderful introduction that I was not emotionally prepared for. I'd also like to thank Life Sciences and NORD for helping to put today together. It's truly an honor for me to be here. As you know, my name is Anna Payne, and I'm a member of the Rare Disease Advisory Council. I want to thank the legislators that are standing behind me as well for coming out and supporting us today. You're really what's going to make the difference for the future of patients. As you all know, I'm a patient with cystic fibrosis. But today I'm here to talk about what we've accomplished as a council. The council consists of a well-rounded group of individuals led by the Department of Health, consists of patients, patient advocates, doctors, nurses, researchers, parents, other rare disease organizations, and members from the insurance industry. I'm going to tell you a story about the first meeting. I remember the first meeting like it was yesterday. We all went around the room, talked a little bit about ourselves. Everyone saying something about they were looking forward to in the summer, talking about their resumes and their unique qualifications. I listened at everyone's very impressive resumes and exciting summer plans. And when it got to me, I thought, well, what do I really have to offer this super impressive group of individuals? It was then I realized what I had to offer was my voice and my story. I could see it on the faces of those in the room, as I told them that I had just bought a house and I was looking forward to getting married in January. Two things I never thought I would live long enough to accomplish. That is exactly what this council was created to do. It was created to fight. It was created to make sure that we are improving the lives of patients throughout the Commonwealth with rare diseases, so more of us can live longer, healthier lives. In the 2 years since we had our first meeting, we have developed a website, which is now live. So if you want to write it down, it's PARDACE PRAC.org, Pennsylvania Rare Disease Advisory Council.org, to try and help get our message out. We are also developing what I find very important is a needs-based survey, which will help us understand patients and families, their needs, from diagnosis to the economic impact, ensuring patients have access to adequate health care. Our hope is that this survey will guide us as we continue to advocate for patients and families and assist us in educating our partners in the Council and the caucus. I'm honored to be able to speak today, and I look forward to improving the lives of patients throughout the Commonwealth. Alone, we can do so little, but together we can and will do so much. Thank you.
So I think another great important number was 1/26/19, and that was the date that Anna got married. So thank you again for sharing your story, all that you do for the CF Society and for our rare disease community. As Anna mentioned, the cystic fibrosis community is here today, and we would also like to share that the annual Sickle Cell Awareness Day is here as well. I was very grateful to be able to speak with them earlier today, talking about all of the wonderful opportunities that we hope that the Rare Disease Advisory Council will bring to all rare disease patients. Advocacy is critical to creating awareness and results for a community that has more than 7,000 rare diseases, of which approximately 90% are still without any FDA-approved medical treatment or therapy. That's why our next speaker and his organization not only play a critical role in creating the Rare Disease Advisory Council, but also continues to be a supporter of continuing this Rare Disease Awareness Day. Chris Molyneux is the president and CEO of Life Sciences PA. He understands the important interplay between policymakers, patient groups, and researchers working on groundbreaking therapies and cures for rare diseases. Facilitating strategic connections, like those between scientists and companies and rare disease patients, and working to ensure Pennsylvania has policies in place to start, develop, and grow a life sciences company are what is core for the Life Sciences PA Group and what it does. His work with his former colleague and a true champion of the rare disease community, Craig Tucker, led Life Sciences PA to be a proud partner in coordinating this event and its inception. I'd like to ask Chris to come to the podium to say a few words.
Thank you, Marie, and thank you to the representatives and senators for your continued support. As Marie mentioned, I lead Life Sciences Pennsylvania, which is the trade association that represents the pharmaceutical, biotech, medical device industry of Pennsylvania, also the academic research community, more than 100 of which are working on solutions and cures for rare diseases. These are the scientists who go to work every day to find solutions to unmet medical needs. Today, I would like to focus my remarks on Craig Tucker, who we lost last July. This is the first Rare Disease Day since Craig passed away last year, but his legacy clearly lives in the work everyone here is engaged in. Craig led our advocacy team for 4 years, and he truly understood that the ultimate beneficiary of what our scientists work on and what the patient advocacy groups are focused in are the patients. Ultimately, the patients are the ultimate beneficiary of what we're working on. And candidly, he also recognized that rare diseases, frankly, are not rare. And this is a mission that he took very seriously. And one of his goals for Life Sciences Pennsylvania was to help pass legislation in Harrisburg to create the Rare Disease Advisory Council. Working with Marcy Toepel and Marie, they formed the Rare Disease Caucus in 2016, which was followed closely by the legislation which passed on July and was signed by the governor on July 7th of 2017. Craig passed away almost exactly a year later on July 20th of last year, but his legacy obviously continues with all of us today. I want to read a note that Marie actually wrote to me after Craig passed away. She said, "We had to force Craig to be in the picture with the governor. He was always in the background, making sure all the details were worked out, and he never sought any attention or recognition for his hard work." So today, I'm proud to give Craig some recognition to acknowledge his hard work And more important, we are absolutely proud to represent the industry that is working with the legislature, that's working with the Rare Disease Council, and key players like Marie and the other patient groups that are represented here today. So thank you for your support. Thank you, Marie, for your leadership.
Thank you, Chris, for allowing us to remember a really good reason why a lot of us are here, and that was because of Craig. In preparing my remarks, as you can see, I was learning a lot about zebras. I found another reason why zebras are a great symbol for our community. I read that zebra fowls, their babies, are born in very harsh and challenging environments, and their parents and their herd members defend them from predators and occasionally from each other. Surviving to adulthood is challenging for zebras, and every herd member is responsible for their baby's defense. This summarizes any parent of any rare disease patient that I've ever met. If you look around at our crowd today, you will see so many parents who defend their children and have a herd that surround and support their babies. Our planning committee was humbled to have Allison Hinkle willing to speak with us today. It is an honor to have her, and I welcome her to the podium.
Thank you for inviting me to speak. One of my 4 children was born with a rare disease called spinal muscular atrophy, SMA. SMA causes motor neurons in the spinal cord to die, so you wind up with very low muscle tone. So SMA affects walking, eating, and even breathing. It is the #1 genetic cause of death in infants. Cognition is unaffected with SMA, so SMA kids tend to be very alert and bright, but they're trapped in a body that just doesn't work. 1 in 11,000 babies is born with SMA. The statistic in Pennsylvania is 1 baby each month, and 1 in 50 Americans is a genetic carrier. In December of 2016, I was cooking for Christmas when I received a text message from a good friend who has 2 kids with SMA with amazing news. The FDA had approved the first treatment ever for SMA. The SMA community was thrilled. We were so hopeful. The results from the clinical trials showed that SMA babies who were treated pre-symptomatically were presenting much stronger. So I found myself watching videos of kids walking, some even running, who before would have been resigned to the use of a power wheelchair for independent mobility, some of whom would have even been unable, just not strong enough to speak. Now they were walking and some running. So when Cure SMA planned a day of advocacy in Harrisburg to advocate to add SMA to the newborn screening panel, Pete and I knew that we wanted to attend. Pete and I came to Harrisburg, we met some people from Cure SMA, and the plan was to be on the floor of the House for an awareness resolution, and then to head over to the newborn screening and follow-up technical advisory board meeting, where Pete and a good friend Jake were to give testimony. The newborn screening technical advisory board decided to work through lunch that day, and they were trying desperately to reach our Cure SMA rep to let her know, but she wasn't checking her email, so we were unaware. So when we arrived at the meeting, they had adjourned, and Pete never gave his testimony. Pete died 3 weeks later at age 13. In May, my husband Tim and I decided, this is last year, we decided that we would attend the next scheduled meeting of the Technical Advisory Board for newborn screening, and we brought Pete's twin sister, Lucy, who read his testimony that he was unable to give. Lucy read, "Hi, my name is Peter Henkel. I'm 13 years old, and I have type 2 SMA. Due to my SMA, I face some challenges that I would like to share with you. I need help getting up and getting dressed every morning. Every day before school, I have a full respiratory treatment, and I have more respiratory treatments when I'm sick. I have spent long admissions in the ICU due to respiratory illness. I've had 9 spinal surgeries due to kyphosis and scoliosis," and he went on. "Despite these challenges, it is possible to have a happy life with SMA. I have a great family, 2 brothers and a twin sister, lots of friends, and I play on a power wheelchair hockey team. I am here today to support screening babies born in Pennsylvania for SMA. Because of the new treatment for SMA, if babies are treated early, they could be much stronger and likely even walk. This would help them avoid many of the challenges I have faced. Thank you for your consideration. End quote. The Newborn Screening Technical Advisory Board created a work group and invited me to be a member. That was May of last year. By September, they had voted unanimously to add SMA to the newborn screening panel. And by March of this year, we started screening all babies for SMA. Amazing. The Newborn Screening Technical Advisory Board is comprised of intelligent and thoughtful group of medical professionals and scientists who understood the benefit of early diagnosis and treatment of this rare disease. They were enthusiastic about the outcome of their vote. Dr. Jerry Vockley stated, "Guys, this feels great. We're saving babies." It was my honor to work with them. I would like to thank them for their hard work and quick implementation of screening for SMA. Kelly Holland and Stacy Gustin of the Department of Health are here today. Would you please stand so we could give you a round of applause? Thank you. Thank you to everyone for being here today in support of those living with rare disease.
Thank you, Allison. It is difficult for any of us here today to properly articulate how grateful we are that you and your family took your grief and channeled it into advocacy that will forever save lives and save families in Pennsylvania the sorrow that you felt and continue to feel. You symbolize the hope that can come from despair. Our last speaker and his organization allow those of us and our families who live with rare diseases and feel like we are a small whisper in the world of healthcare advocacy have a very loud and clear voice. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Tim Boyd, the Director of State Policy for NORD.
Hi, everyone. I think there's no greater example of the strength of our legislators in this state than the folks that have been standing on marble behind me for about 40 minutes, so please join me in thanking them again for their steadfast dedication. In recognition of that fact, I'll be quick. On behalf of NORD and the 30 million people with rare diseases, thank you for joining us today, and thank you for joining us in supporting Rare Disease Day. I first came to this event 4 years ago in 2015 after I first started at NORD. There was a thin sheet of ice over the Capitol steps, so I'm very happy to see this event now in May. And at that time, the Rare Disease Caucus, the Rare Disease Council was just an idea, was just a whisper, and it is thank you to the tireless work of advocates in this state, like our ambassador, Kristen Smedley, like Life Sciences PA, and of course the folks behind me that have made that a reality. And we are also incredibly excited to continue working with that group on a lot of the challenges that the state still faces. There are a couple of issues in particular, such as the continued use of copay accumulator adjustment programs in states and the continued use of Fail First that I think we're excited to work with the council to help address in this state. In closing, I do want to take a moment to actually recognize the rare disease patients and families and caregivers in the audience. So if you are yourself a person with a rare disease or a caregiver of a rare disease, if you could please stand up for a moment. Thank you for being with us today. You're why this work is so important, and we thank you for your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. We hope that today continues to bring awareness for the rare disease community. We know that the mission of the Rare Disease Advisory Council is to improve the quality of life for all those affected by rare diseases in Pennsylvania and to become a national leader in transforming the lives of those affected by rare diseases through collaboration, support, education, and advocacy. We believe that working together, we will make an impact for the 1.2 million estimated Pennsylvanians living with a rare disease. And to that end, I'd like to quote the most famous zebra, Marty from Madagascar. "Oh, come on, this isn't the end. It's a whole new beginning, and this could be the best thing that's ever happened to us. See you all next year." If we could have the rare disease patients come up for a photo, please.